Hello, everyone. You're listening to the LockingYourSuccess.com Trading Performance Podcast with Master Trading Performance Coach John Locke, where it's all about real traders, real problems, and real coaching. Today, I'd like to talk to you about dealing with uncertainty without experiencing anxiety. When I talk with developing traders and I ask them, what do you think is your biggest challenge to becoming successful as a trader? A vast majority of them give me an answer that revolves around the topic of fear. They'll say something like, I can't follow my plan because I'm afraid I might lose. Or I'm not confident that my plan is going to win, which is another way of saying, I'm afraid I might lose. And perhaps my personal favorite when I ask this question is, I'm risk averse, which is simply the manly way of saying, I'm afraid without admitting to yourself or anybody else that you're actually afraid. Now, when I'm working with people and they say these types of statements, most of the time the trader's actually experiencing anxiety. He's not actually experiencing fear. Remember, fear is a short-term emotional response to a known, immediate, and imminent threat. In other words, if we were in a live trade and we were experiencing our position losing much more money than we thought possible, in that moment we may actually be afraid. However, if, for example, you find yourself incessantly thinking about the possibility of losing, then what you're actually experiencing would be anxiety. Or to put it in other words, you're actually experiencing an apprehension or a vague sense of unpleasantness that lasts for a long period of time. This being the case, I find that anxiety is actually much more prevalent than fear when we talk about to traders. Now, that brings up the question, why are traders so anxious? Well, if asked, most traders will say they're anxious because they're uncertain that they can control the outcome of a trade. In other words, they don't know if the trade's going to win. Now, on the surface, it makes sense to be uncertain because no matter how much they know or how experienced they are, a trader literally cannot control the outcome of a trade, meaning that there's no way of knowing if that trade's going to win or lose, making the result by definition uncertain. But therein lies the problem. Trading by nature is literally uncertain, meaning that if you are going to be a trader, you will always be uncertain of the outcome of your trade. You're never going to know if you're going to win or lose. Unless, of course, you systematically arrange and manipulate outside evidence in a way that allows you to believe that you can control the outcome of the trade. Realize that it is possible for us to trick ourselves into a false sense of security. And many traders do this through things like backtesting, through things like form-fitting results, and relying on short-term results to prove to themselves that they now know how to trade and that they now are going to know the outcome of the trade in the future. My point being that if you do convince yourself that you know the outcome of your trade, that would be very, very bad, because all you're doing is you're hiding the risk from yourself. The pain of that risk is going to be realized at some point in the future when reality steps in and you lose that trade that you thought you could never lose. This being the case, it's actually beneficial for you to understand and fully acknowledge that we are uncertain about the outcome because it helps us trade responsibly. That said, while acknowledgement of uncertainty is our ally or our friend when it comes to trading, having high levels of anxiety about that uncertainty is going to be very detrimental to our trading. So, what do we do about it? Well, first of all, realize that uncertainty is simply part of trading, just the same as gravity is part of your life experience. Gravity is simply a fact that exists. It's a neutral circumstance that we simply accept as true. With gravity, for example, we don't get all anxious because we can't fly or we can't float up into the sky on demand. We simply accept that that's the way it is, and we work around it. In fact, we even play with gravity, right? There's this whole industry called downhill skiing where people pay money to depend on gravity to have fun. Uncertainty is the same thing. It simply exists. not only in trading, but with virtually everything in life. Therefore, uncertainty itself is not the problem. Uncertainty is simply a neutral circumstance, until, of course, the trader puts a meaning on it. If you're anxious about uncertainty, the problem isn't that you're uncertain. The problem is that you've chosen to believe that you're not supposed to feel uncertain. And since you believe you're not supposed to feel uncertain, and you do feel uncertain, you think you're doing something wrong, or maybe that you don't know enough information yet. And this being the case, if you feel you're doing something wrong and you don't know enough information, it would only make sense and only be natural that you would feel anxious about risking your money in a trade with those thoughts. My point being is that your anxiety is not coming from uncertainty itself. Your anxiety is coming from thinking that you should be certain and that you're doing something wrong if you're not certain. What I'd like you to do is ask yourself, is it possible that this anxiety I'm feeling is because I've given myself the job to try and control or try to predict an unpredictable future? Am I trying to predict with certainty something that I'm not humanly capable of predicting? If you're trying to predict the outcome of a trade with certainty, the answer is yes. If that's the case, then of course you're going to be anxious. So how do we fix it? Well, it's really quite simple. You simply accept that uncertainty is part of trading. Accept that you're not supposed to know. You're not supposed to be able to predict the future. You're not supposed to know if this trade's going to win or not. And you're not supposed to be able to control your outcome. Look, if wanting to control what you can't control is what is causing your anxiety, is it possible that if you drop the idea that you should be certain, if you drop the idea that you can control the outcome, is it possible that the anxiety would simply go away? Of course. And then, if your anxiety went away, then you could trade with the benefits of acknowledging uncertainty, but without the damaging effects of anxiety. You'd have the understanding that if you're feeling uncertain, that's the way it's supposed to be. Also realize that if you do feel completely certain about a trade, right? If the opposite happened, if you got that certainty that you were looking for, be afraid. That's a huge red flag. You're setting yourself up for a huge loss and a huge failure down the road. Complete certainty about an unpredictable outcome is bad. It means you're ignoring reality. You're hiding your risk from yourself. And now that you know uncertainty is necessary to trade well, think about how much power you've given away to trying to control what you can't control. Trying to be certain about something where if you did become certain, you are setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for pain. And then recognize how much more effective you'll be as a trader when you take back that power and put it into things you can control. Not only will your anxiety disappear, but you'll also experience exponential growth as a trader. Realize that uncertainty is your path to success. And that is what I have for you today. If you need any help eliminating anxiety from your trading, or if you would simply like some fantastic information on how to profit through income trading and improve your trading, I encourage you to visit us at lockeinyoursuccess.com. That's LOCKE in yoursuccess.com, and check out our pro membership and our trading performance membership so that you too can break through barriers and make quantum leaps in your trading and in your life. Please share and comment on our episodes. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on the next Trading Performance podcast. Hey, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to check out my Trading Performance membership, where we take all this material to the next level. We study it and we apply it to bring our trading performance to peak levels. Simply go to tradingperformancepodcast.com. That's one word, tradingperformancepodcast.com, to receive information on how you too can become involved and improve your trading. I look forward to seeing you there.